Hey everybody, welcome back to the Balanced Vibes podcast. My name is Kirsten, and as always, thank you so much for being here today. Taking some time out of your day is nothing that I take for granted. So thank you so much for spending this about 20 minutes today with me, listening to my thoughts on body goals, health goals, and intuitive eating and macros. So these are things we're going to talk about today, whether intuitive eating is or isn't the best way to go if you have some health goals or body goals. And if it's not the best thing, which is my opinion, then what you can do instead. Before I get started, I want to tell you about this free guide that I have just put together for you, and it is called the Fit Physique Formula. Fit Physique Formula is essentially your protein guide, because I have learned from my experience and also from seeing from my clients that one thing is getting your protein up high enough is going to make a big difference in how you feel, how you look, and how your health is. And honestly, I knew it, of course, as a health professional and personal trainer. Of course, I've always known about the importance of protein, but I've never truly paid a lot of attention to it up until maybe March or the spring, when I really got my protein numbers up and I started seeing a lot of difference in the way I was feeling and also looking. And here are a couple of examples. I got so much stronger. So of course, we're in quarantine. California is still in quarantine. And all I had here was my 2 adjustable dumbbells that went up to 52 pounds each. And when I started working out with them this spring, they were really heavy for me. They're really heavy, but during this quarantine, and which was around the same time when I started upping my protein, I got so much stronger. Just the other day, I tried chin-ups and pull-ups just to try them out. I have not done them in a very long time, and they are so much stronger. I can actually do them now. Also, just PR'd my lifts, and all these things are not to just brag and tell you, I'm so strong, but it is to show that I have really made big gains right after I started increasing my protein intake. And there are, of course, other things that are better as well. My mood generally is better. And this is because of neurotransmitters. Your brain loves neurotransmitters, okay? That's why protein intake is very important. Also, better sleep. Just calmer, just being calmer, feeling calmer, definitely seeing much more muscle definition. Of course, because I have more strength, I'm stronger at the gym, I can lift heavier stuff, I have better muscle definition. And all these things are literally thanks to protein. And you may know that I have also struggled with some unstable blood sugar and slight insulin resistance. So I think now I can pretty safely say that I don't really have that problem anymore. I still have to be careful. I still can't overeat sugar, but I can tolerate carbohydrates, for example, so much better. And this all has been possible because I have been really keeping my protein high. I've been including also fat at every meal, and I've been lifting heavy weights. So protein is it's so important, and it's also so overlooked. A lot of times when I talk to my clients and we do the first audit of their nutrition, I see that they're getting less than 100 grams of protein, which is really low for pretty much every woman. So we should all be getting much more protein. Now the question is, where to get it from? How much should I be getting it? What are the foods? How frequently should I be eating protein? So these are all the things that are answered in the guide. So go ahead and click the link in the description or in the show notes that takes you to the Fit Physique Formula and learn everything you need to know about protein. This guide is completely free. So I don't know if you don't get it. I don't know why, because it's really packed with a lot of good information, and it's also very practical. It's giving you all the steps that you have to take in order to start feeling better, looking healthier, sleeping better, having better moods, making better gym gains, and all that what I just mentioned. So please go ahead and go check out this free guide and let me know what you think. Now on to today's topic, intuitive eating. So what do we know about intuitive eating? Intuitive eating is basically the idea that you eat what your body tells you to eat. And we all should have this built-in system that tells us exactly what to eat and how much to eat and when to stop and so on. And that's why a lot of people say that, any kinds of like diet or macro tracking or calorie tracking or counting is always a bad thing because it goes against our intuition. And this is what I don't necessarily agree with. And I gotta say, back, I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago, I thought the same way. I was like, we all know we were born a certain way. Like nobody told us that, hey, you've had enough milk now, stop now because you are gonna go over your calories for the day. Of course, we all are intuitive eatings when we're born, but then things happen as we get older, as our eating habits change. So for example, a lot of people start eating more processed foods because this is just the world we live in. It's impossible to avoid processed foods. And of course, again, somebody can say that, oh, chopping your carrots is also processing food. This is not what I mean. I mean, treating foods with certain ingredients that make these foods super hyper palatable. So let's say that we start eating more of these foods. And I think we all have experienced it, how hard it is to put that bag of something down and then just say, okay, I'm done with it. It's so easy to overeat. So because we have these processed foods in our life, and by the way, I'm not saying they're always bad, you should never have them, but because we tend to eat a lot of them, it's very hard to intuitively understand when to stop eating them. The other thing is that a lot of people eat emotionally, right? So we eat to soothe ourselves, or we're feeling sad, or we're feeling happy, whatever the feeling is. People use food a lot of these times to kind of make this feeling either even better if we're happy, or try to make this feeling go away if we're feeling sad. So we use food a lot of times also to soothe our feelings or make us feel better. And we hope that we can do that with food. So that's another thing. One more thing, a lot of people have been dieting a lot, and that was me too. And that also can mess with our intuition. So if you really restrict your calories extremely, if you tell yourself that all you can have is 1,000 calories, then your intuition is going to be way off. So these are all examples that show you that we cannot always only trust our intuition. Because, for example, if I told to this person, who's maybe trying to recover from an eating disorders, she's been under eating, that, yeah, you can eat intuitively, then this person would maybe never eat more than 1,000 calories because she feels like, okay, this is what my intuition tells me. On the other side, let's take a person who maybe has diabetes and she's really sick. And if you tell her you can eat intuitively, she would probably and very likely eat more carbohydrates. That is good for her. Okay, so these are health examples, but let's now talk about the looks, the physique, the vanity stuff. So if somebody has a goal that she wants to look cleaner, lose a little bit of body fat, and we tell, okay, eat intuitively, it's probably not going to help her to get there. And it's just is what it is, right? So if we continue eating the same way we did, this is the intuitive way, and we saw that nothing happened, why would it happen if we don't change anything? So if we want to change something, whether it is for our health or whether it is for our looks, if we want to change something, then I think intuitive eating is not always the best way to go about it, because if you're not going to change anything, no change can happen. And that's why I think that tracking your macros, becoming aware of your food choices, tracking your calories is very, very important, because it gives you a little strategy. So you know what to do, what kind of, if you want to have a certain result, what can you do in order to achieve that result. So let's now say that you have a body goal. You want to look cleaner. You want to lose a little bit of body fat. And let's not demonize that. It's not a bad thing. Okay, so what can we do? We can first bump up your protein, right? So again, we're going to start with tracking. We're going to start with logging and see how much protein are you eating. This is where the protein guide that I told you about in the beginning of this episode comes in. So if we track our food now and see that, oh my goodness, I'm not even getting 100 grams of protein, there's your answer. That's why you are not able to lose body fat. That's why you're not leaning out. Let's say that your goal is to get much stronger and you lift weights and you see a little bit of progress, but not as much as you would like to. Then again, let's go ahead and let's take a look at your calories. Let's see where you are at. Let's look at the protein again, because this is always the number one thing. Okay, we go there and we see, okay, yeah, protein is really low. No wonder that you're not getting stronger. No wonder that you're not putting on that muscle that you want to put in. And these types of realizations are actually really big. They are eye openers. And that can be really, really helpful for you to become intuitive later. So let's now say that you get into a habit of eating, 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight, and you practice that for a little while. Yes, the first week is going to be really hard. It's hard for everybody. Most women don't intuitively eat that amount of protein. And of course, it doesn't have to be exactly 1 gram. It can be like 0.7 or 0.8. It depends on the person. But even then, people don't get there intuitively. Honestly, I've never seen anyone who's intuitively eating the amount of protein that they should be eating. So now if we get started, okay, we practice the first week. It's really hard. We're not hitting that. We go into second week and things start to feel a little bit more, better. We're getting closer to that number. And the third week, we're getting really close. And the fourth week, we're doing really well. And then we are hitting our protein. So now we're going to practice that until this becomes a habit. And then we can say, okay, I'm honestly now intuitively pretty much eating that way. This is what I do. And this is why you don't have to track and count your calories and macros forever, because now you intuitively know what that looks like. So it's almost like we have to relearn it. Of course, we were born with this knowledge, but we lost it. Like I said, processed foods, eating for our emotions. Okay, what's that called? Situational eating, right? You go to movies and you just eat popcorn because that's what you do. These things are not always intuitive. These are just because we live in this society where food is everywhere. And these are just the choices that we make that have actually, I don't want to say messed up, but really affected our intuition. So we cannot truly trust it anymore. And I think if we lived in a world where we actually ate only like plants and things that we can find in nature, and then we would have to hunt or like gather those foods ourselves, then we would be able to do this intuitive eating a little bit better probably. But this is not the reality. This is not the life we currently live. And honestly, I don't think there's anything bad in keeping your eye on those things, because if you have a goal, you have to know what you're doing. If you just keep randomly doing the same thing over and over, nothing's changing. Of course, nothing's changing because you're not changing anything. So let's take one example. Let's take portion control, for example, and let's use an example of food that's really easy to overeat. And for me, personally, it is cashews. So I know that if I have cashews, then it's going to be really hard for me to stop if I don't use a little bit of portion control there. So intuitively, I would eat a big bag of it. And yeah, I would feel probably a little sick afterwards, like, oh, why did I have to eat that? And I try to keep that in mind, so I'm also aware while I'm eating. But it's still helpful to have like a small handful and then try to keep it there. And okay, that's enough for me because that was maybe like 200 or 300 calories and I really don't need more. Like my body doesn't need more, and intuitively I would eat more. But if I do have a body goal, physique goal, I don't want to put on extra body weight that I don't need for my health or for anything else, why would I still then say that I have to do it intuitively and I have to eat 600 calories worth of cashew nuts if 200 calories is perfectly fine for me? So it's not only a bad thing, or it shouldn't be seen, portion control shouldn't be seen as a terrible thing or a wrong thing to do because we are denying our intuition. I think it can be a really, really good tool to understand and to become kind of more aware. The other example might be, for example, carbohydrates. I've been talking about protein a lot, but let's say carbohydrates too. So somebody who has diabetes or somebody who has insulin resistance, if they ate intuitively, they would overeat. And again, that's my example too. I did have slight insulin resistance, and if I ate like a whole cup of white rice, and if I didn't have anything else with it, or maybe I had the rice first and then I had some chicken or something else, that would not be good for me and my body, my blood sugar levels, even though intuitively it would be a good idea, right? So it's not about vanity, it's also about the health. But it is also about vanity, because this is not a bad goal to have if you want to change, the way you look. So these are the reasons why I think it's totally fine to have goals and to understand and to admit that no, intuitive eating is not always the best idea, because a lot of people are struggling with their weight. They don't want to be the weight they are right now. I'm not talking about like some small thing like, okay, 5 extra pounds. What does that even mean? Like 5 pounds here or there, it doesn't change the quality of life. It really does not. But we have a lot of people who really have obesity problem or are severely overweight. So for them, tell them to continue eating intuitively, it's not going to give them too many too many choices, or this is not going to empower them with knowledge. So we have to empower ourselves with knowledge and understand where we are at, what we want to do, how we want to look, and then what are the steps that we have to take in order to get there. And this is why I think that tracking your calories, understanding that maybe you're severely overeating right now, maybe you're severely undereating right now, both are options. Both things happen all the time. I see them all the time. So if we want to change something, we have to look at the calories, we have to look at the macronutrients, and then learn through that intuition again. So these are my tips for you today. So if you feel like I've been trying to eat intuitively, but it doesn't work for me, don't feel bad because of it. Don't feel like you did something wrong. Sometimes people tell me that I feel wrong. I feel like I'm not doing it right. I want to do it better, but I just, my body's not changing, but I don't want to track anything because that's diet culture. Then I'm going to tell them that, you know what? It's fine. It's fine to want to learn how to be intuitive again, intuitive in the right way. Okay, so these are my tips for you today. Make sure to check out the free guide, the Fit Physique Formula, all about protein, how much to eat, how to eat it, where to get it from, how frequently to eat it, and all that kind of stuff. And also all the good changes that you are going to experience when you start adding more protein to your diet. So make sure to grab this guide. It's completely free. And let me tell you, I also have a quick little gift for those of you who grab it quickly. So if you don't want to miss your special gift, go ahead and get that guide. So this is it for me today. Thank you so much for being here, and talk to you again. Bye-bye.